Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to the stream, and another chapter, chapter 2. Working on that guy right there. That's this guy here. That's our General Lee 1/16 scale by MPC. We'll run the intro. We'll get started. Okay guys, we're back and we are going to continue on the build. We're going to go through a little bit that I've done off camera in between episode 1 and this one, and see some of the things that I've done and decisions I need to make, and I want your help with it. Okay, as you can see here, I'm in the middle of just curing a fuel tank. Like I said, I'm going to go through and show you guys some of the stuff that I've done so far. I've still got stuff in the works, and yeah, and where I am right now. Okay, so let's change the camera so we can kind of see what's going on. So last time, episode 1, part 1, we needed to start doing the front suspension on this thing and getting that all put together, and having a little bit of trouble trying to figure out how my little brackets are supposed to go. I'll show you what I came up with, because I even wound up going on YouTube myself to see if I could find anybody else build this kit before and actually go through all the steps, and I didn't find any. So this might be the first one out there where you actually get to see how this stupid kit goes together. I say stupid because it's a NASCAR, but they've designed it as a General Lee, and yeah, but it's really Rich Petty's NASCAR, so it's got NASCAR stuff to it, not General Lee stuff. It's just like they put some box art together and they threw some decals in the kit and made a 69 Charger bigger body, and that's it. And then throw it in there, a couple of interior panels and high bucket seats, and there you go. Call it the General Lee and you're done. That's what it seems like. Other than that, it's a freaking NASCAR. And even then, from what I've seen online, it's not accurate. Anyway, I'm rambling now. Let's change this camera and have a look here. So, we go back to episode to page number 1, where they want us to put in the tubular chassis here for the front, put in a steering motor, and a couple of brackets here and there, and then there's these guys. These guys were kind of hard to figure out, because in the way that they picture them, the holes are wrong for mounting our upper A-arms. So we got this. Remember, we clamped these two together, right? We got those clamped. I put those in. They just go into the holes in these. That little pin there goes into the hole created by that thing right in there on each side, and then you don't glue it. That's it. Then off camera, I installed these guys, our lower brackets. I'll show you. Okay. Oops. That wasn't supposed to do that. What fell off? Oh, just one of my arms. Okay. So you get these installed here, and they go into the sides of these. Okay, those are our little brackets that we made. Okay. All right. So that's these, and those are installed. I'm not doing these things, whatever the heck these are, because these are going on the frame, and those are not part of the regular body. So we got this. That's installed. These little brackets, looking at them, they weren't going to work. Not like this, that's for sure, because it's totally the wrong direction. Because I'll have to show you. I'm going to draw it out for you. Not that I'm a great artist, but let me grab a pen here. So, or something. This is a pencil. I need a pen. I need a pen to show you guys. Give me a pen here. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so on these brackets here, if you take this side here, so it's like this. I'm going to make this a lot bigger so it's a little easier to see. Okay? That's basically the bracket here. Okay? Like this. Okay? That's this. And it's got a hole right here. Okay? And the hole goes through like that. But the hole is positioned in such a way that half of the hole is in this little wall. Like this, kind of like just the way I've drawn it. So the hole only goes through halfway, and on this side here, the hole is literally like this. It's a D on this side of the plastic. okay, on this inner wall. Now, your upper A-arms, where right here, these two pegs have to go onto the inside of these brackets. They've got to, they go in. It's like this, but they go in through the holes here and here, okay? So, the fact that if the way they show it here, the D side is on the inside and therefore will not work because the pegs are round. They are not D brackets. So they won't fit. They don't fit at all, actually. So you wind up having to put these in reversed. And yeah, so there's that. So these have to go in kind of reverse way so that this is on the inside and not this side. So you flip them over like this, okay? But that means you're using your this side for this side and this side for this side. That's basically it, right? Now, of course, I have an extra problem in the fact that I'm utilizing some inner fender wells. And this happens to go, our inner fender wells, the bottom line here, happens to go right on top of the frame. It goes right on top of the frame rails here. Well, guess what we've got right in the way sitting on our frame rails is these brackets. These brackets sit right on the frame rail. Okay, like this. It's a little bit hard for you to see, but that is how it has to go together. Okay, you can see like that. Okay, a little bit there. You can see a little bit how I've got it. Now you also might notice something. I've trimmed off the brackets. I've trimmed it off. You notice these are actually like zigzags. Okay, well, I trim that bracket off here, being like this, just so I can get there, because I am eventually, I'm going to have to reinforce these with some styrene, either on the outside here or from underneath. I'm going to have to get some styrene little blocks and put them underneath and reinforce them, because I'm going to have to trim this off. I'm going to have to go snip and get rid of this part of the bracket. I'm going to have to trim that off. That's going to, this little section here, from here, basically, I'm going to have to trim right there at that arm, right there, and get rid of that inner side completely, right down to the frame, because our wall is there. Now, I've preemptively cut some notches into my fender wells so that, in theory, I'll be able to drop this down on here. I'm letting the glue dry right now. I just did this maybe about 20 minutes ago, so I want to let this cure fully before I really start playing around with it, because it's going to go in right in there like that, and it's going to go over top of these guys, so I need to make sure that's nice and cured and glue hardened and all that fun stuff, and do that. So I did happen to have one of my little spindles came out. This just drops down in here like this, and this guy is going to go over top like that. Okay, this guy's a little bit tighter so he doesn't flop around. Another thing I did, you guys might have noticed, see there's a little piece of white styrene down in there and down in there, because I am not going to be utilizing the suspension on the front. Any of you guys who have built this car before, you know it's got shock absorbers on the front, but there's no springs. But the suspension has a bit of travel. You've got some travel in your suspension going up and down, right? And from what I've seen, I've seen a couple of videos and guys reviewing this kit where the front end just kind of wants to squat down because there's no spring or anything holding the wheels up. So since I'm not going to have any mounting points for my shocks anyway because of the inner fender wells, and I'm not really much of a scratch builder, I can't scratch build myself some stuff, so I'm just going to say, you know what, the wheels are tucked in, you're not really going to see the shocks anyway. You wouldn't really see these anyway because of our inner fender wells. You're not going to see them under the hood. I have decided I'm not going to put the shocks in, but I want the car to sit level. So I got a little block piece of styrene, and I put it up in there between our little suspension piece and the frame, making sure our spindle is straight up and down. This guy just wants to flop in the wind here. Let's just do that. Making sure that this is going to be sitting straight up and down, kind of 90 degrees perpendicular. And so I did that with this side too. Okay, and so I got my little block of styrene in there, and so this is nice and flat and level. So our wheels, in theory, our front wheels should be straight up and down. Okay, so we got to that point. That point's done. So then I decided, let's have a look. Since we're waiting for stuff to dry and we're not going to be doing very much on this as far as the front end goes, this is all done. So steps 1 and 2 kind of finished. Step 4, we're going to do the little melting point here later on so that they don't come apart. We'll do that later. And again, we're just waiting for stuff to dry. We're not going to be doing all this frame stuff. The battery definitely is not going to be mounted in there. The battery should be mounted in a spot somewhere up here on the front on the driver's side. That's where they mount on the chargers. So yeah, so that's that. So we flipped over and we started on step number 6 last time, right? It says here, cut a large black PVC tubing to the length shown to indicate points indicated by X. Yeah, so they want us to, in here they're showing, they want us to basically run fuel lines from this part of the tank to that little pin sitting there and put the gas tank down. And I didn't really like the look of this as a gas tank. That doesn't look like an actual, you know, this could be a NASCAR tank, the bottom of a NASCAR tank. Sure, that's possible. And that would sit right in here like this. Nice and simple. They want us to run a fuel line. They've got a little hole, a little notch there for the fuel tank. See that there? For the fuel, I should say fuel line. We got a little notch there, right? And that's supposed to go here. So you run a little boink, a little fuel line there. But again, I don't like the look of this tank. So I went online and I looked at 1969 Dodge Charger gas tank, and I designed one in Tinkercad and I 3D printed it. So there we've got a gas tank. We've got the straps that go around it there. And this is a reasonable facsimile. I think it's not perfect. Yeah, it's not as rounded as it should be or whatever, but it's good enough. And of course, this is all, that's where the supports were when I printed it. And yeah, and I measured it out so that the width is perfect, right? But you'll notice it's a little bit longer because I wanted to utilize, I noticed the tanks on those cars are really rectangular and not square. So I measured the total distance that we have here, and I've got just about an absolute perfect fit here for a fuel tank that looks a little bit more realistic to an actual Dodge Charger fuel tank. So yeah, I've got that now. So I think we could glue this in. So I'm gonna, of course it's resin, so you can't do regular glue. You have to use CA glue. So I'm gonna get some of that. And let's get our fuel tank glued in. And I'll just do this. Get some out here. And run that along this edge here. As you guys saw, I was just making sure the inside of this was cured. A lot of times you have all the supports and everything, and you know, sometimes I have a curing station for my resin stuff, and sometimes I don't let it, not a curing station, I mean a wash station. I have a wash station for my resin to clean it up afterwards. And sometimes I'm in a hurry and I don't want to let it dry quite fully before curing, and so you still have a little bit of residue of alcohol on the parts, and then you go and cure it, and so it doesn't cure 100% properly. Okay, so we're going to line this up, slide that in place, and there we go. Okay, hold that there. Just let the glue do its thing. I mean, it's probably not going to go anywhere now. No, she's in. Fuel tank is in. Okay, and I'm not going to bother with fuel line right now. We can do that later. So the other thing, while that's done, I'm just going to let this sit now and let that dry a little bit, and we'll go back to this. Another thing I did was dashboard. This was a test print to see how it would come out and see if it would come out in the dimensions that we need. Because here's our dashboard out of the kit, and here's the dashboard I designed it off of. This is out of a 1/25 scale charger kit. Okay. So I used some AI and I did a little tinkering in Tinkercad, and I've got this. This is not perfect, obviously. I don't even have a radio in the middle there, and I should have a radio. I don't have turn signal lights, but I designed my gauge sizes to be the same as this, so that our gauges would be the same size. And I made some switches and stuff like that. I don't have my steering column fully round, obviously. It's not correct, so yeah. And of course, something I've discovered in this kit is our steering column literally is just a round rod that goes through there, and that is pathetic. So I'm gonna have to design myself a steering column that looks more like a steering column out of a real Dodge Charger. So I'm gonna have to do that, and that's that. So I'm currently printing another copy of this that actually has the top across, has the dash pad going across of it, the top, and gauges. I've got my little signal lights in there and my radio and everything like that. So that's my pretend dashboard. So next, engine stuff. So looking at engines, here I've put the two halves of our 4-speed transmission together. I think this is supposed to be a Muncie 4-speed. I think. I don't know for sure. And then we've got our engine parts. I wanted to start doing some stuff with the engine. So I got the two halves of the engine block put together. Got that done. I put the two parts of our intake manifold together. And something I thought was really funny, and I didn't know when I first was test fitting this, you can see the back end of the block, it lines up. This is the back, that lines up. But the front is not lined up. It doesn't line up at all. You see that? That is horrible. And it's like, what the heck have they done here? That is so terrible. That doesn't line up. But then I was looking at our timing chain cover. This goes on the front, but you could look here. It's got that big notch in it to cover up, and you're supposed to put that up there, and that takes up the slack and fills in that big gap. It's weird. It's weird that they did that, but that's how it goes. So let's put that on there. Okay. So another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, and what I want your opinions on. Okay. Let me talk to you for a sec here. Speaking of engines, I know that this kit came with a 426 Hemi engine. I know that in the show, they never had a Hemi car. They didn't use Hemi cars. They used either 383s or 440s. Okay? The 440 cars, I know from what I've seen in videos and stuff like that, and even I've seen the Rob Schneider and a few of his videos talking about Dukes of Hazzard and all that stuff, that when they're jumping the car, they used the 383s because the engine was lighter and it didn't make the car nosedive so much. Because of 440 cars, those things would nosedive like crazy, and of course you can't really film it like that. The car's just going like this through the air. So they used the 440s for chase scenes and stuff like that, but then they used the 383s for the jumps. But So what I've done is I've 3D printed myself both a 440 engine with a 6-pack. So I got a 440 6-pack, and I've got myself a 426 Hemi with dual 4s. And I'm trying to decide, do I do a 440 with a 6-pack, or do I do a 426 Hemi with dual 4s? A 426 Hemi with dual 4s is cooler, I think. And like, what would Bo and Luke want to have in their Charger? If Bo and Luke actually had a choice of engines, which one would they have gone with? Would they have gone with the Hemi, or would they have just gone with a 446 pack? I don't know, and that's what I want you guys to answer. Tell me what you think. I'd love to see it in the description down below. Let me know, guys. Comment, please. And love tour. Oh, okay, sure. Yes, I want to know, because I have both. I can put either one in. And I just finished printing myself a Muncie 4-speed for the engine. So because the Muncie 4-speed I have printed is a lot better detail than what this thing is. And so, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to know what you guys think. Which engine should I put in it? The 440 or the 426 Hemi? Because I got both. I got both. Right here's the 440 right here. Here's the block in the heads, and that already just looks a lot better than this thing. Even though the inside doesn't look as good, because here they're trying to make it look like you give you the option. You could just put this on an engine stand or something. But I 3D printed myself a steering wheel too. Looks a lot better. This looks a lot better than the kit wheel. This is a lot more realistic to an actual steering wheel you might see in a street car. Now, naysayers are going to say, oh, but the Dodge factory wheel doesn't have circles in it. It's got those rectangular slots. Yeah, I know. And I'm still debating whether I should bother making another one that actually has those or not. And just in comparison, here's the kit wheel compared to that. Okay? The kit wheel is horrible as far as detail goes compared to that, right? It's just the way it is. So of course you get a lot more detail with resin, but yeah, we can put an intake manifold on our 440. So there's our 440 with a 6-pack, and yeah, it looks really nice. The detail is fantastic. It looks really nice. It's typical for resin, right? Looks good. But yeah, let's just put our factory kit, put our kit engine together a little bit here, and see where we're going with it. So our timing chain cover goes on the front here like this, and they say in the instructions to line it up at the top and not at the bottom where the oil pan is. So don't put it at the bottom, you put it towards the top. Now, of course, I have seen some guys building this kit, and they like the detail in the engine. And sure, of course, because they're not using resin. If you're not using resin, then you're going to go with what this kit has, and that's all it is. And there's really nothing else to say, because it is what it is. It doesn't really line up properly. I've got a big gap in there just because, we're not perfectly 90 degrees, but it is what it is. Cylinder heads. Of course, we've got the nice, combustion chambers and the valves and everything. And that's all right and fine if you're going to have this thing facing upside down and open, but we're not doing that. So we'll just line this up, and we put the angle parts at the top like this. I kind of want to bring my 426 engine out over here just to compare the two for detail. Let's put this on there. think I got some flashing or something on this. Doesn't want to. No, that's just the way the mold is. See, that can be some of the problem too. They try and put in this extra detail, and then with that extra detail, it doesn't line up. It doesn't sit flush on there. Okay, so that's that. We got a little fuel pump supposed to go on there, and just a little flat spot on there. Let's find our fuel pump on the sprue. We want part number 224. Actually, it's got an asterisk, which tells me it's probably on the chrome. One of the chrome sprues. Let's see here. I see 221, 225, 220, 219, 223. I don't see 224, 221, 217, 15, 16, 211, 225, 227, 219. We've got 219 twice, that's interesting. 224 right here. That's kind of hard to find. Okay, there we go. I don't know why randomly all of a sudden our fuel pump is chrome. Like, who puts a chrome fuel pump on an engine? Not only do I have to get rid of the paint on the part where it's going to glue on, I've got to make sure it's flat. Because we've got a really nasty looking parting seam that's going all around this thing. It actually is enough part of a parting seam that it's creating flash. If I do actually get to paint this engine, this thing's not going to stay chrome. So there's no point in trying to preserve the chrome on it. So it's just not going to work. You know, I was younger and I was building hot rods. I don't think I ever encountered even an option to buy a chrome fuel pump, a chrome manual fuel pump. Okay, so this is going to go onto the side right there. So let's put some glue on here, so it will be a little bit more convinced to stay. When I let go. There we go. Because of the size of it compared to the block, it doesn't really get a lot of contact on the side here. Well, that's what we got right there. Okay. Alright, so that is step 17. Oh, our intake. Well, we'll do our intake in a minute. Step 18 is our carburetor, putting our float bowls on each side. Bing, there you go. That's done. That was really simple. There's really not much to it. but it turns it into a very large carburetor. I'm going to grab my 426 engine. I want to do a comparison with the size and stuff. And yeah, I realize, guys, I'm kind of running around with you guys on this. There's our engine block and our dual 4 intake cylinder heads. And here's the carburetors for it. For the dual 4s. Okay. Just so you can see a comparison. Now, how did I get this comparison? Well, what I did was I took a valve cover from the kit and I measured the length. And based on that length, I scaled the resin valve covers to be the same length. Okay, so we've got 2 valve covers that are the same length. There's my resin valve cover compared to this one. And yeah, I actually have the inserts for the spark plugs for that. But anyway, there's a cylinder head off of my resin kit, which looks quite nice in comparison to the kit, which for the intake side has little notches, but on the exhaust, well, there is no exhaust. Yeah. Compare the valley on the block. The block side. Yeah. There really isn't much of a comparison, is there? Not much of a comparison at all. It's kind of just the way it is. But they are actually very comparable in their lengths and their sizes. This one obviously a little bit smaller because this includes our little channel for the timing chain, but that one doesn't. So I could, if I decide, I want you guys to tell me, should I make this, should I keep it as a Hemi or not? If I put the heads on this one, I think the heads actually go like this. No. How do the heads go? I have to line these up to see. Isn't that crazy? I gotta line these up. No. It goes like that. Maybe it goes like that. Look at my valve cover. Does the valve cover go on that area? Or does it go on this area? It's gotta go that area. How can you tell that I'm not a Dodge Hemi guy? I don't even know how this goes together. Head goes there. This head goes there. Valve cover section, or intake manifold is an Edelbrock intake. See, that don't work, so that tells me that I got something going on here funny. Whoops. Maybe I have the heads upside down. I don't know. Well, I definitely had it upside down because that side's supposed to go up. This goes like that, like this, and like this. then this goes on. Yeah, suddenly it lines up. Isn't that funny how that works? Yeah. I mean, 426 Hemi is going to look pretty cool, all done and put together. The valve cover's on there, right? That's going to be a nice looking engine. But, do we do the Hemi? Do I do the Hemi, or do I do... Let's do this. Do I do the Hemi, or do I do... I happen to have... Yeah, it's dual fours. Ping. I don't know which way these go. Let's just put them on there like that for now and compare those to that carburetor, right? It's really a no-brainer as far as which carburetor looks better. Yeah, they tried. It looks like a Rochester carb, actually. But, yeah, it's just... Okay, so there's no argument. The resin is definitely better as far as detail goes. So, yeah, there's no argument there. And there's nobody's debating that either. Okay, so carburetor's assembled. Flip roar. What do we got next here? We've got a nice big chrome timing chain cover going on the front of this. This guy right here. Of course, we've got all kinds of attachments on here. It's kind of weird. Yeah, you're kind of weird. There we go. Okay, so we've got that great big guy going there. What else we got? We got part number 216 and 217 are both chrome. .217. It's kind of funny. They got the so that's 217. 216 is actually two parts. The nice thing about having the resin engine is you also have all the resin. You've got all the pulleys too in the resin kit, so we don't have to worry about that. Looks like that's it for chrome. So of course with chrome we have to scrape away the back. Now I've done a little bit on this on our timing chain cover, but where that thing is going to be touching in the middle there, we need to scrape away on that. I have noticed in this kit the chrome actually interferes with fitment in quite a few things. This obviously goes onto the front of the engine, like so, and just sits like that. But I believe our peg here, yes, our peg on the front of this, they show it much smaller here, but it's going to go into that pulley, the back of the pulley, and that's this guy. And so we got to get rid of the chrome inside here, and we got to get rid of the chrome on the peg. Now getting rid of the chrome on the inside of this might be a little bit hard to do. I've got a round file here. Let's just shove that in here and spin it. Let's just spin this a bunch of times. Let's see if we can get rid of the chrome on the inside of this little hole here. It's not bad, actually. I think that did pretty good. Let's just take this around in here. Bunch of scraping. Okay, so we got rid of that. We got to get rid of the chrome on the outside of this because it's going to go on there like that, and it needs to be able to make contact with the plastic because, like I said before, and like I've said many times, the glue cannot make any contact. It can't get through the plastic. Or sorry, it can't get through on the chrome. Glue cannot penetrate chrome. And that's just the way it is. So, and once we get this installed, this pulley goes onto here, and we have a similar problem. We got another hole right here that we got to get rid of the chrome on. It's actually kind of a peg. That seemed to work pretty good. We have to go all the way around this and get rid of the chrome. Just on the spot that where it's going to contact. So we want to preserve the chrome. We got to, on the chrome pulley is a nice look, but you got to get rid of the chrome where you're putting glue. And that's just an unfortunate reality. Now for guys who like to strip the chrome off the kits, you guys are already a step ahead because you've already stripped the chrome. So you strip the chrome and then you paint it to your reasonable facsimile of chrome. The glue can penetrate that. The glue has no problem with that. Okay, so let's put this guy on here. Where were we here? This guy. He's going to go like this. Shove him on there. And we want him as straight as possible. Okay. And then this guy goes on top of him. It just kind of sits on him. There we go. And there's our crank pulley. Just like that. Now we can take this whole unit and put it down on there. This is kind of the nice thing about it being all chrome is that you can slather the glue on it and it doesn't do anything to it because the glue doesn't do anything to chrome. So that is kind of one bonus. Alright, so there we go. There's our chrome timing chain cover and chrome crank pulley. We have this other pulley here. This is looks like our water pump pulley. So we got to get we've got here part number 43 and 151. So let's find those. 43 and 151. Let's see here. I have no idea what sprue there. It looks like... I found them. I just grabbed the right sprue. Here's number 151. I'm guessing that's the alternator. And then number 43, which is our water pump and alternator all in one. So alternator just goes on the back of this thing. Like this. Okay. Okay, so our alternator's in place. And we've got our lovely little water pump. And the water pump's going to go on. It doesn't look like we've got any designation of... It looks like, okay, our little tab on the inside of the water pump. It's too bad they changed the kit from the original release. What is it that they changed from the original? I didn't know they changed anything. Or are you referring to the original as in the Richard Petty version? Because I know that they basically just added some pieces to make it a General Lee. But the Richard Petty one was a little bit different. He eliminated the stars and bars from the roof. Oh, no, actually they did not. I've got them right here. It's kind of hard to see through the tape, but yeah. Got it right there. It came with it. It's this original Confederate flag, as controversial as that might be these days. Not so much up here in Canada. We don't really care about that too much. I mean, it actually depends who you talk to. Certain sensitivities don't like that particular flag anymore. But I see my 217 pulley looks a little bit different than what it shows in the picture, but it's supposed to go right here in the center of the water pump, but it looks like it's supposed to go over top of the fan belt. Fan belt must be an early reissue. Or you think so? Really? I don't know. Let me look at the instructions. It should say in the instructions what this is. There should be a copyright on this somewhere. Dukes of Hazzard, round 2, 2010. This was produced in 2010. Yes, you are correct. We need to scrape away the glue from the chrome. I like to, when I can, I just use a file. It's a little bit quicker. Yeah, so this particular kit, I mean, I bought this kit off of eBay. It was sealed. Obviously somebody just kept it and didn't do anything with it for 15, 16 years. I'm going to grab our fan belt here. It's kind of interesting that they have the fan belt separate like this. So it is kind of neat. You don't see that in too many kits at all. 2010 is before the insanity took hold. Yeah, right, exactly. Okay, let's get back to this page here. How is this fan belt supposed to go on? It looks like we put the fan belt onto the alternator, like so, and then this gets sandwiched in there. I guess you could just do it like that. I think since it's going over chrome pulleys, I think I'm going to get rid of the chrome where the fan belt's going to go through over the top here, just so that it will actually glue to this pulley. So Old Manchu Warrior, what do you think I should do with this kit? What's your opinion? Do you think I should keep it as a 426 Hemi? Or should I try and do, or should I go with the 440? I have resin engines, and so they're both going to be a lot better detailed than what this kit is. I'm just building this engine just to see how it builds up and what it's like. But the kit comes with a 426 Hemi. I have a 426 Hemi resin kit with dual 4s on it, and not just a single like this kit has. But I've also got a 440 Magnum with 3 2 barrels, so it's a 446 pack. And I'm trying to decide which I should do. As I know in the show, those cars, to make it a show accurate car, they didn't have Hemis. But at the same time, my argument is, would Bo and Luke have wanted to have a Hemi engine in it? You know what I mean? Like, is that what they would have wanted? Would they have gone with a Hemi if they could have? $440, yeah. Okay, so we got to vote for the 440 engine. And I understand why the 440 would be the choice, because that would be show accurate. That's what it would have been in the show. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit challenging now. Get this lined up on there. Okay, maybe not that challenging. It just fit on there perfectly. I just dropped it in and it fit, and it went into spot. Okay, so now I got to take it off because I wasn't prepared for it to fit so quickly. Let's put some glue into our little spot here. There we go. And where that's connecting here on the block, we gotta put some glue in there. There we go. You're a purist, okay. So there we go. There's what we're looking at. Not bad. I mean, all things considered, I say that's not too bad. The fan belt's still a little bit out of scale. They would not be that thick at this size, but you know, I can't really fault them for doing that, because that's what they have to work with. We'll put our intake on here. Just goes on like that. So let's just a couple of drops on there. There we go. I'm just about out of time here. I'm gonna have to get going in a minute. Yeah. So we got our carburetor now. I noticed on this we've got two little spots here and here to line up our carb. There and there. But I noticed on the bottom of the carb we actually have 3 little pegs and not just 2. So to try and decide which is actually the front is going by the pegs is not going to work. We have to look at the actual piece. But then again, you know what? I don't have to do that. The secondary carbs are bigger than the primaries on this, and the secondaries would be at the rear of the engine, right? That's where they go. So this third little peg that's sticking out, I'm going to have to trim off because that's not supposed to be there. So let's get rid of that and smoothen that out so that our carb can fit on here properly. Ironically enough, our front pegs don't fit in the holes. Oh yeah, they do. There we go. There we go. Okay. Line that up in there. There we go. Carburetor's installed. Oh yeah, painting that's going to be a bit of a bitch. Speaking of which, maybe I should. Yeah, I'm going to pull that off. Glue holds good. Yeah. I'll put that on after painting. Let's clean that up. You know, just second thought was like, no, I better get rid of that. Valve covers go on like this. Go on there like that. Get those lined up. Doesn't really want to line up. Line up, damn it. Our pegs don't want to go in the holes. Well, yeah, because I got flashing on here. Flashing never works. Flashing's not a good thing. There we go. Suddenly it fits better. Just not in that hole. What's wrong with your hole? Why don't you like your hole? Still don't want to go in. We got one side in and the other side don't line up. And that happens a lot. So, bye-bye. Sometimes that's just what you gotta do. You line one peg and the other doesn't line up at all. That's just the way it is. Maybe I'm just weird and putting them on the wrong side. Could be. Fits on that side, no problem. Let's grab the other one. Maybe I got lefts and rights and I didn't even realize it. Yeah, it must be. So I trimmed one of those pegs off for no reason. And there we go. Valve cover's installed. Yeah, they're not glued in, but that's the way it is. So that's kind of what you're looking at. I'm gonna knock everything off of it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'll primer this thing and throw a little paint on there, but I'm gonna have to do that off camera. I'm gonna have to do that, and because I gotta get going. I gotta take off here. So, yeah. Once again, not really much done on the kit itself. I still have to let our front suspension cure and harden and stuff like that before I can really play around and do the chopping I need to do on the front. We got a custom gas tank installed, so that's good. That looks a lot better than the kit tank. Just for reference again, there's our kit tank compared to my resin one. So yeah, it definitely looks a lot more realistic. But yeah, so that of course is where I have to leave it, guys. Like I said, I've still got other things. I've got things that are printing right now and things that are curing in the curing machine, so we're gonna have to look at those things next time. So I want to thank you for watching, and thanks for joining me on this little journey. And yeah, it's an interesting one. And of course, the most customization I've ever done on a kit is what I've got planned for this. So that's why it's going to be a challenge, and it's going to take me a lot longer than it normally does. If you're interested, just follow me, hit the like button, subscribe, comment down below, please. I want to hear your comments. And I guess we'll see you all in the next one.